because we don't have much time left. I know you guys are dying to speak about this team. A
Yeah.
team that won't even make it to the second round or probably even make the playoffs. The Vancouver
They're in the
Canucks.
Bedard sweepstakes. They
Yeah,
are fully in the Bedard sweepstakes now.
Yeah,
You guys cool if I set the stage here because I want to. There's a certain order of order of how I want to read this here.
Okay, take it away.
Okay, so listen, Jim Rutherford, president of the Vancouver Canucks, he holds his presser today. Okay, and he's holding a presser not because the team sucks, but because his organization sucks, specifically at dealing with player injuries. Tanner Pearson. He's dealing with wrist surgery or just wrist complications, stuff about like an infection, multiple surgeries. Quinn Hughes in a press conference, not press conference, but in a scrum after a game, kind of just casually mentions, he's like, yeah, it wasn't handled properly. And that's kind of what lit this on fire. And Jim Rutherford had to go into damage control. And in my opinion, he did no damage control. Like he honestly added fuel to the fire. I'm going to read out a bunch of statements to you, and then ask you a question at the end. So these are some quotes. Jim Rutherford initially thought the Vancouver Canucks only needed minor surgery. He now admits that major surgery is required.
Nice.
Jim Rutherford also said, all of the core players aren't going to end up being here. And some people are taking that one the wrong way. They're saying, oh my God, they're trading everyone. That's not what he's trying to say. He's saying some will be here, some might not. Not that everyone's going. I've seen some people think that. No. He says this. I'll say the obvious. We all want the first overall pick this year of all years. Okay. So all of those statements. Guys, how would you describe a team with a president that makes those statements? Like, would you, like the Leafs? What are the Leafs? We'd say the Leafs are a contender. Right? What would we say that the Vancouver Canucks are based off of Jim Rutherford's
They've
comments
chalked the
today?
season.
They are going into fire sale mode. Fire anything not nailed down to the floor. Fire off, like, if they got any free seats in the Rogers Arena, Rogers Place, send those out too if you can. Try to get those. Don't get as many wins as you want as a fan. You want that first overall pick, but are they in the how? Like, you know what I mean? Like, they have so much talent on the team right now. Like, how are you gonna fire off all these guys to who, first of all? And like, it's just
if you have a lottery pick this year, this is not the year you're giving it up.
No.
And yet, despite that, what is Jim Rutherford not finished with? But this is his last quote I've got here. We're not moving toward a rebuild. I prefer the term retool.
Yeah, shut up.
Did any of those statements that we read sound like a team that's about to retool?
Absolutely
Major
not.
surgery. Want the first overall pick. Some of the core is gone. Oh, this is not a rebuild. This is a retool. What the hell is going on in Vancouver? Like, those two do not compute. They do not mesh. You cannot say, I don't want to rebuild. I want the first overall pick. You can't have your cake and eat it here too, Jim. Right? Like, I feel bad for Canucks fans. And the Canucks, I've said this before, they're my Pacific team. I love those jerseys. The blue and green and white is mwah. That's a beautiful jersey over there. I want to see them do well. It is very tough to cheer for that front office and that organization right now. Really tough.
They have a lot of my favorite players on the team. Pettersson, Brock Besser, Quentin Hughes, fantastic players. But right down from top to bottom, from owner, management, JT Miller, it's not looking too hot from top to bottom. We haven't even talked to we haven't talked about JT Miller here, but I get it. He's a fantastic offensive player. He puts up numbers, XYZ,
88 and 43 right now.
But
that's really good.
But guys, we haven't talked about it at all, and I kind of wish we did. But the antics that he's just putting up on the ice, it makes you think how many bad people are actually playing in the NHL. So we got Brad Marchand, we got Jacob Trouba. JT Miller might be up there, genuinely.
Listen, but I don't think he's a bad person. I think he's a sore loser. I think this is a guy that does not deal with losing well, especially when he's at the front with it. He does not know how to be a leader when the team is not doing well. I think that's what it is. And Brian, you brought it up. All the antics on the ice. We're only seeing the stuff on the ice.
Because they suck. Because they suck.
We don't. These players live lives with each other outside of the games, right? Outside of the practices, they hang out together. They talk in the locker room. They go on road trips. They sit beside each other on planes. It
breakfast,
does not
lunch, and dinner.
Like JT Miller. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And you know what it's like to have meals with people that you just don't want to talk to right now. It's just, I just want to eat.
Or just don't want to talk to at all.
Timothy Miller might be one of those guys.
That seems to be the case between JT Miller and the current captain of your Vancouver Canucks, who front office decided
to pick
was less of an importance. The captain of your team was not chosen over goddamn JT Miller, who plays defense like he's playing Timbits hockey. That guy, if he could back check once in his life, would be a goddamn miracle. It'd be Jesus Christ coming after 3 days in the tomb. That's what it would be like looking at JT Miller back check. That guy's back. I could back check better, and I played house league hockey. Like, what? Top down. The owners, I believe it's Francesco Aquilini
family,
and his core group. They made their decision on the split in that locker room because there is clearly a split in that locker room. It's been said before. JT Miller and Bo Horvat are on two sides of the locker room, kind of like the Winnipeg Jets had for the past couple of years.
Very good comparable, yeah.
And they managed to fix it. This is not fixable. This is gone far beyond whatever the hell the Jets were dealing with. This is beyond.
They're in a class of their own.
They are in a class of their own. They are in a awful class of their own. Like, this is not the class you want to be. And unfortunately for Canucks fans, listen, I'll keep bringing it up. I'll dance on the Canucks head. I will dance on the Canucks management's head until the end of time. I said it from the start of the season. They weren't going to make the playoffs. I didn't think it would be this bad. This is new levels for them of disappointment and apathetic play. And the fans deserve a lot better. Some of those players deserve a lot better. I'm not going to lie to you. Yeah. Brock Besser deserves better, I think. I don't think JT Miller deserves better. Quinn Hughes, Elias Pettersson, and Bo Horvat deserves so much better. I'm sorry if I said it. I wasn't the biggest Bo Horvat fan coming into the season. His play this year, his off ice, behavior has made me a Bo Horvat fan, because if he has to deal with all this bullshit that he has to deal with the front office, with his own goddamn teammates at this point, somebody sign this man to a lifetime contract and get him the fuck out of Vancouver right now. I'm not going to drop the F-bomb too many times on this podcast. We'll keep it as family friendly as we can. I am damn serious on this right now, and I feel strongly about it. Get Bo Horvat out of there. That is not the situation for anybody.
And listen, if you want family friendly, don't watch the Canucks, because they're a horror movie. Okay, so listen, that's all you got to say there. And look, Dave, you started out up with Bo Horvat versus JT Miller, and he was asked about that, right? And Jim Rutherford basically came out and said, we think we made our best offer to Bo, but to be honest, we don't think it's that good, because he deserves more because of what he's done this season. So we actually didn't really give him market value. Like, can you imagine actually just coming out and saying that?
Is that word for word?
Not that isn't a quote. That is paraphrasing. If you want me to get the quote, I can look for it here.
No,
in a
it's
second.
okay. It's
here is a quote.
Just to say something along those lines is
it's ridiculous.
Is unfathomable.
Come out and just say that. Yeah, like I'm not like saying like I'm not. Like,
it's not hyperbole here. Like, that
words.
Is
no.
Yeah,
he literally said he's like, we made our best offer. We don't expect it to be enough because he can get more on the market because of what he's done. That's what he said.
That's
almost
ridiculous.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
God.
And here is a quote though. This is word for word how he describes the Bo Horvat situation. We're in a pickle here. That's
Like
Jim
maybe a
Rutherford's words.
deep fried pickle, maybe.
It's a deep fried pickle. The question is, boys, how big of a pickle is Jim Rutherford in? And that is the game we're going to play here. Let's see how big of a pickle Jim Rutherford finds himself in. Because I can count a boat, like there's a couple bone anchors on this squad.
It's
Inside the
bad when you
scratch,
have
Oliver Ekman-Larsson, man.
it's bad when you have more than two on one team. Like two on one, like two boat anchor contracts.
Yeah.
Like completely. I would say there's four.
You've got two on the blue line, right? They've already hit their
line.
maximum on the blue line.
Yeah, and they have 100% one on
They've
forward.
got one at forward for sure. His name is Timothy Miller. We talked about it. And
so for the other two, I guess we could just start getting into it. The three that we are talking about.
OEL.
So on the blue line, it's Oliver Ekman-Larsson, who is signed to play in Vancouver until he's 66.
The Canucks will fold as a franchise, and Oliver Ekman-Larsson's contract will still be going on.
Dude,
so
the Vancouver Island will be underwater, and Oliver Ekman-Larsson will still be a part of that goddamn worthless franchise. Tyler Myers is there, just being a warm body, playing 36 minutes a night while everybody else is,
making $6 million.
He's making $6 million. God knows what he's doing in those, whatever time he's on the ice.
I think I know where the Horvat money is now.
Yeah.
There.
Yes.
Well,
it's not.
If that wasn't the tip off, then here's the next one for you, Brian. JT Miller signed in the offseason. Re-signed. So he re-upped with the Canucks. Going what is that? 8 by 7? 8 by 7. Yeah, 23, and that ends at 2030. Yeah, so it's 7. Again, going to be there until, I don't know.
2030, I expect like flying cars, and JT Miller will be on the
100%. Right? Yeah, the corpse of JT Miller at
yes.
Almost 40 years old. He will still be on the Vancouver Canucks books.
JT Miller's $8 million. Ekman-Larsson is $7.26 million. So that's 15.26. Add in $6 million. That's literally $21 million worth of untradeable money until at least 2024, which is next year because of Tyler Myers. Let's say they miraculously get rid of Tyler Myers because we feel like those other two are going to be a lot harder to move. That's still $15 million. That is more than the dead cap space we talked about with the Minnesota Wild, right?
Yeah.
And in the world where they somehow get off of a JT Miller deal or an Oliver Ekman-Larsson deal, we don't expect it to be scotch-free, right? Like especially on the OEL deal, you would be attaching stuff to him, right? Like you're adding sweeteners. Unless JT Miller turns his game around, which I will say, for all the bashing we did of him, there's a world in which he somehow meditates for a whole summer, steadies under the work of Patrice Bergeron, and decides, you know what, I'm going to play NHL average defense. And in that world, maybe he's tradable. But boy, I'm not counting on it. They've got themselves in a hole and a half, and they're in the worst spot they can be in because it is not the Bedard sweepstakes, like we said, and it's not the sweepstakes for the Stanley Cup. It's the sweepstakes of irrelevance and just mediocrity. And that about sums up the Vancouver Canucks, if you're asking me right now.
Like, how do you get rid of some of those guys? It's like you're kind of forcing your hand to get rid of, like I don't know. Is a guy like Andrei Kuzmenko untouchable? Like maybe
you just brought in, right?
You just brought in. He's going to be UFA in the summer. Like
they apparently were talking to him. Like they want to resign him. He apparently likes the city, despite all what's going on. God bless his soul. They should make him a saint in Vancouver.
God, put a statue up for him right now.
Right, but at the same time, you need to be rebuilding.
Yeah,
he will get you a pile. In the words of Damien Cox, a pile of goodies. And the Toronto Maple Leafs didn't need a pile of goodies with that quote, but the Vancouver Canucks could absolutely use multiple piles of goodies. Andrei Kuzmenko, to me, should be out the door. Maybe that's just me being a selfish Leaf fan who would definitely want him. But that aside, when you get a guy that falls into your lap for less than $1 million, and you're looking to transform your franchise, that's the guy that gets you assets that you don't currently have.
And it's crazy to me that all they had to do was just survive one more year with those. What was it?
Oh my
The
god. With
Beagle,
Antoine Roussel and Jay
Roussel,
Beagle.
and there's another guy
Like
in
Yeah,
there. Just one more year, just hang in there.
it was they were fooled by the year they made it 2 rounds, right?
Yeah, they're
That
desperate.
that
they thought they were
that
a lot
year
closer to
absolutely
like
fooled them. Thatcher
yeah.
Demko is simultaneously great for the Canucks, and he's also somewhat the reason they're in this scenario because he stole games, and we saw him against Vegas. Like it was nuts what he was doing out there, and that mirage kind of had the Canucks management of Jim Benning back then, and Jim Rutherford. He came in. He himself has said at this press conference he's disappointed with the job he's done since coming in. That is not what you want to hear from your GM or president. Frankly, anyone that's managing your team, right?
Or
Like
anyone, period.
what are we on now? Almost a year,
Yep.
right? Like Jim Rutherford's almost been there for a
The
year.
trajectory has not gone up, which was the expectation for this franchise,
It's gone down.
badly. And
I like I think a win would have been having that arrow instead of even going up, even if it stayed stagnant, that would have been an improvement.
and
But how do you go down from the Jim Benning era? Jim Benning signed Tucker Pullman to what was it, a
0.5
4 year
million by
2
4
point like
years.
I'm looking
That's
at him
honestly, we should have
right
brought that up
now.
as another one that can't move.
Dude, he's on LTIR right now, has only played 3 games this year, played 40 last year, and you sign him to 2.5. Like, Justin Hall
And
makes $2.5 million, but he
yeah,
plays 82 games. Like, for all his
yes.
faults, we'll keep going back to him. He'll play every single game, and he'll play in multiple situations.
And who are we kidding right now? We brought this whole the reason this press conference happened. I said it was because of Tanner Pearson. Tanner Pearson is not playing hockey this year. There's a chance he doesn't play
ever
hockey
again.
next. He makes 3.25 million this year. Next year, that is also dead money that we didn't factor in. This is a mess on the level of the
Coyotes.
pre-Matthews era Leafs to me. No, it's worse than the Coyotes because this is a organization that has pedigree, that has money, that has fan
Fans.
support, and doesn't do anything with it.
And
Right?
Yeah, they have money, but
And-
they're it's like just
They're
start
burning
a
it.
fire and just start burning
And-
it because like that's what you're doing right
they're
now.
pissing away Elias Pettersson's career, Quinton
Yeah.
Hughes'
Yep.
career, and you can even make the
Mhm.
argument of Demko.
And Brock Besser.
Patterson is literally the Sundin. Like I'm telling you, there's a little bit of like pre-Matthews era Leafs vibes here of just dysfunctional, a totally dysfunctional organization.
Yeah,
From
like
like Dave
dude, the
said,
Leafs
from
never
top to
had
bottom.
the Leafs have never had this much talent. Like
You're right.
in that
You're
era,
right.
they never had
You're
this
right.
much talent. But
It would kill for
100%,
this type of talent.
dude, I think with the type of talent that they had during those dysfunctional eras, we might have been able to
Yeah.
beat Boston in that first round. Like, you know what I mean? Who knows? Like this type of talent on the team.
Caberlet was good.
shouldn't-
He was not a Quinn Hughes.
No, 100%.
No, that's
right?
not even comparable. But I will say this. As much as you guys went in on the Canucks situation, explained it fantastically, I just want to make the point that it doesn't. There's a chance, there's a world that things do not get better because trade deadline's coming up soon. When the trade deadline occurs, will they get their king's ransom for their captain? You know,
They have to. They have to get it for Horvat. They have to get it for Kuzmenko. You got to be shopping Garland, who Canucks fans actually like. I've been paying attention because I've been a Garland fan. Canucks fans have said that Garland has actually played good. It's just their freaking coach won't play him. He's not getting ice time. Like you need to fire, like Dave said, anyone that is not nailed down to the floor is in trade talks right now because
and
like you can do
sorry,
this. You trade Kuzmenko and Horvat, you can transform your franchise. Like
you
I
can bundle
said,
them and get a king's ransom.
oh my god,
speaking of coach, before we
we should
move
bring
on.
this up.
So this is another big point of the story. Bruce Boudreau should, by all intents and purposes, be fired already. Like he
Yes.
should already be
He
gone.
typically,
right?
dude, he basically he goes to bed and he is fired.
Crazy.
The future him has been
Yeah.
fired. Like,
He goes
how
to
do you
bed.
coach like that?
He goes to bed like dreading the next morning when he has to wake up to the red, like what's it called, like when you get like the eviction notice, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Like he
Yeah.
gets that red letter saying that, like, you're axed, you're gone. Like that's what he goes to bed dreaming of. And they've already got they've got their guy in place supposedly already. Rick Tocchet is supposed to be coming in, and now you're gonna pay another coach. You've already got Travis
You're
Green.
already
Like
paying him.
here we go again. Here we go again. Bernie money. Just throw it all into. Give me some of that money. I'll go coach the Canucks at this point. Honestly, put me on $100,000 salary. I'll coach the Canucks for you guys.
If I get the same result,
50 grand, 100. I'll tell you one thing. I'll get JT Miller playing defense. 100%. Give me a couple of months. I'll get him back checking. But yeah, here's the thing. Like, how are you gonna pay 3 coaches? Like, you're paying Travis Green still. I think for at least another year. You're gonna be paying Boudreau until the end of his contract, who you re-signed in the offseason. And then
the
you're
GM
also
wasn't aware that he had like 2 years on his deal. Like, how do you as a president not know the status of your coach when you get hired? Like,
oh my god,
dysfunctionality.
Just dysfunctionality. It's honestly it's like a sitcom. It's a sitcom from the 90s.
It is.
It's
so
married with Canucks. It's whatever you want to call it.
And
moving in with Rutherford.
It's
I just want to say on Tocchet, like, I just want to say, I like him as a standalone coach, but we just talked about this team should not retool. This team should rebuild. Tocchet is not a rebuild coach. I don't think. I think he's a guy that you could bring in when you want to improve, right? I know he was with Arizona, not exactly a team that did crazy stuff, but he was their coach when they won that play-in round against Nashville. That's literally the only bit of.
They clearly don't want to win. So, you know what? Maybe you bring in somebody who doesn't know how to win in Rick Tocchet. Like,
oh, man. I will say, in theory to me, if you need a guy to quote unquote tame JT Miller, or, a guy who, because JT Miller seems like he's a threatening dude. He's not a guy that you can just approach in the locker room and have a cool, chill conversation with. It doesn't seem like
he's a bit standoffish with him.
Yes, he's got a bit of a temper. He's a little bit of a ticking time bomb. Rick Tocchet strikes me as the type of guy that wouldn't take any shit from JT Miller. So I will say in that regard, it might be a decent idea.
Joke. Absolute joke.
Yeah.
I think that's.
I feel like that's it. Joke.
Oh my god! It's a joke. It's a joke.
As I was trying to get into it before that opened up, there is also a world where they don't get the King's ransom for their captain, Kuzmenko, XYZ, but there's also another world where a very highly likely world where they don't win the lottery.
Oh, 100%.
There's a chance that they fall in the lottery too, and like in their obviously when other, you know what I mean? Like when
if karma exists, they absolutely fall in the lottery this year, right?
If there is
like
something,
there is a god
extraterrestrial that will, extraordinary.
Listen,
that will.
Rutherford said it. If there's a year to win it,
it's this year.
This is the year of all years. So yeah, there's 3 possibilities. There is a god, there is no god, or there is a Gary Bettman to rig it. That's all I got.